afternoon. Happy Hanukkah. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. My name is Greg Yalowitz, and I'm the board chair of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. On behalf of the Federation, we welcome you to our building. As you may have noticed, or potentially heard, we are in the midst of a little bit of a construction project. We're renovating and expanding our Kaplan Feldman St. Louis Holocaust Museum with an anticipated opening of late summer of 2022. The support of the Holocaust Museum and its many education programs is one of the ways Federation fights anti-Semitism. This week, Jewish communities across the United States are shining the light on anti-Semitism, which is on the rise in our country and throughout the world. During our brief program today, you will learn about the current state of anti-Semitism in America and hear from members of the St. Louis Jewish community about the many ways that we stand up against anti-Semitism. In addition, we will hear from our friend, Reverend Roderick Burton, about how we must all stand together to fight hate of all kinds. On behalf of the St. Louis Jewish Federation, the Jewish Community Relations Council, the Anti-Defamation League Heartland Chapter, the American Jewish Committee St. Louis Chapter, and the National Council of Jewish Women St. Louis Chapter, we are glad you are here to learn with us today and celebrate Hanukkah, the Jewish Festival of Lights. It is now my pleasure to introduce Maharat Rori Picker Neiss, the Executive Director of the Jewish Community Relations Council.
Thank you, Greg, and good afternoon to everyone. I add my own wishes of happy Hanukkah and welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. As many of you know, the central mark of the celebration of the holiday of Hanukkah is the lighting of the Chanukiah, the Hanukkah candles. Our tradition teaches us that we're supposed to light the candles outdoors near the entrance of our home so that everyone can see it. Or, alternatively, next to a window that's facing a public space to better publicize the miracle of the story of Hanukkah and to put our lights into the darkest time of the year. But, the rabbis continue, during a time of danger, one may light the candles indoors on a table, and that's sufficient to fulfill the commandment. Our sages knew that there would be times when it would be dangerous to light the Hanukkah candles, when it might be illegal or banned by law, or when it might draw unfavorable attention, and it was better not to broadcast that someone Jewish lived in that home. Soon, we will light the Hanukkah candles, and today we light it indoors, mostly for practical purposes. But we're not hiding. We are honored to stand here alongside all of you to invite you to join us in celebrating with us. But we're also inviting you to stand with us because our community is scared. According to the FBI, 57.5% of all religiously motivated hate crimes in 2020 were against the Jewish community. 57.5%. And Jews comprise just 2% of the United States population. 1 in every 3 Jewish students on a college campus experienced anti-Semitism in the past year. And 1 in 4 American Jews have been the target of anti-Semitism in the past 12 months. 39% of American Jews reported that they've changed their behavior in the past year out of fear of anti-Semitism, including avoiding or displaying items that might enable others to identify them as Jewish. That means people removing head coverings, I want to emphasize once again that our community is scared, but we're not without hope. Our Jewish institutions are working tirelessly to join together in the fight against anti-Semitism. And all of you joining with us this afternoon remind us that we're not alone. And that though the days feel dark, we continue to add light. I now invite you to turn your attention to the screen as we share a brief video which highlights the efforts of 8 local organizations leading in this fight against anti-Semitism.
Hello, I'm Tony Westbrook, Assistant Director of Hillel at Washington University. On-campus anti-Semitic incidents reported by Hillels across the country increased by nearly 40% in just 1 year. Unfortunately, Washington University is not immune to rising anti-Semitism.
At Washington University, we appreciate the support and guidance of Washington Hillel in helping to combat anti-Semitism. We are also grateful to Chancellor Andrew D. Martin for his statement that anti-Semitism has no place on our campus, and the university stands in solidarity with its Jewish students, faculty, and staff in strongly rejecting hateful speech or actions in all forms.
Adopting a working definition of anti-Semitism helps law enforcement better identify and fight resurgent hate against Jews. There is no place for intolerance, violence, and discrimination in our society for any group, no matter who they are, how they look, or where they came from.
A global leader in exposing extremism, delivering anti-bias, education, and fighting hate online, ADL's ultimate goal is a world in which no group or individual suffers from bias, discrimination, or hate.
In times like these, we need that more than ever, when anti-Semitism, xenophobia, and ignorance all seem to be continuing to rise, as is the inability of people to speak civilly to each other and hear other perspectives.
We combat anti-Semitism by working together with a diverse group of organizations and individuals in our region and state to make our communities better and more just.
We believe the future of the Jewish community is directly intertwined with the fate of the wider region.
Because of our strong working relationship with the JCRC, we learn more about the ways anti-Semitism affects our communities and how to stand together in solidarity against it when it does appear.
My name is Helen Turner, and I'm honored to serve as the Director of Education for the St. Louis Kathleen Feldman Holocaust Museum. The museum uses the history and lessons of the Holocaust to teach the community to reject hatred, promote understanding, and inspire change. The expanded museum, reopening in summer of 2022, will teach visitors the history of anti-Semitism and empower them to take action against it in their own communities.
We're so grateful for the work of all of our organizations and the partnership of everyone here in fighting anti-Semitism. As indicated in the video, JCRC fights anti-Semitism by building bridges with other faith and civic communities. Another one of our most effective tools in fighting anti-Semitism is our young adults. For nearly 30 years, Jewish St. Louis teens have been visiting classrooms across our region to teach other high school students about Judaism through our award-winning student-to-student program. Today, we would like to welcome some of our student-to-student participants to share with you a piece of their student-to-student presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Maddie. I'm a senior at Clayton High School where I participate in tennis, piano, and speech and debate. I'm a member of the Reform branch of Judaism, which means knowing all of the laws and traditions, but choosing to practice those which I find most meaningful. My favorite Jewish holiday is Passover, when we celebrate the Exodus with a ceremonial dinner called a Seder. I like this holiday best because every year my family has different guests at our house and it's always a wonderful time.
Hi, my name is Ellie. I am a senior at Marquette High School. I enjoy all things art, whether it's singing and dancing or painting and drawing. I am a part of the both Reform and Conservative branches, depending on what is needed for the presentation. I know a lot about both, so I am happy to share. And my favorite Jewish holiday, well, one of them is Purim. I love acting and I love sharing stories, and so every year we put on a Purim play, no matter where I am, and I just love recreating and remembering Jewish events.
Good afternoon. My name is Micah. I'm a senior at Parkway North High School. I'm currently going into architecture school, and I also play soccer. And I'm also part of the Reform branch. My favorite holiday is Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. It's not the happiest holiday, but I think it means a lot to me to reflect on myself and to make me a better person for the next year.
So we are the majority of your 2021-2022 steering committee for the student-to-student program. Our fourth member, Yechiel, unfortunately could not be here with us today. We also serve as group leaders in these presentations with about 100 of our peers. We visit schools in our local area without a large Jewish population, and in the course of about a class period, we cover topics ranging from basic tenets of Judaism to the Jewish life cycle, Kashrut, Shabbat, Holocaust and anti-Semitism, and Israel. And these presentations are really built around the questions of the students at the schools in which we are visiting. While we do not have a whole hour here today, we would like to each share why we joined this program and why we have found it meaningful and what we have gained from it. So to begin, I joined Student to Student out of a desperate need to reaffirm my Jewish identity after anti-Semitism I have faced. When I was a freshman in high school, I had to listen as an upperclassman complain about the misery she felt because the Jews control Clayton. This was within 3 weeks after I had to miss a day of school because I couldn't get out of bed after the Tree of Life synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, which had targeted my parents' former congregation. When that student asked if anyone in her audience was Jewish, not because she cared, but because she didn't want to get in trouble, I couldn't say anything. However, through Student to Student, I've been able to find my voice and my identity as a Jewish person through interactions with my Jewish peers and my non-Jewish peers.
You'll notice that I'm not wearing a kippah, the traditional Jewish headwear, also known as a yarmulke. And part of this, or most of the reason, is because I'm afraid to wear it. I've faced multiple anti-Semitic comments. I've seen multiple anti-Semitic videos and such online. And I'm afraid in Missouri and most of America wear my kippah. And I wasn't really aware of this until I went to Israel for my 8th grade school trip. And when I was in Israel, I saw that most of the people there were wearing kippot. They were displaying their Judaism. They were wearing necklaces with Star of David on. They were their kippot, tzitzit. And I was like, these are my people. I feel comfortable being here in this atmosphere. And for 2 weeks, I wore my kippah, feeling comfortable. And then I came back home to America, and the comfort went away. I took off my kippah, and I continue to not wear it except only in temple. And I think that's the part of the reason why I joined JCRC, is because I want to make sure that students like me can feel safe wearing their kippah in America.
I, as an individual, have not experienced so much anti-Semitism because I have surrounded myself in Judaism for my whole life. I went to Jewish day school, and I have worked and participated in Jewish camp and Jewish religious school. However, I haven't always enjoyed being Jewish or really accepted it. In fact, I hated it at one point, which also corresponded or correlated with the time I got mitzvah. So, for my portion, which was Ekev, which was the second part of Moses' last meeting with and speech with God, I decided to pick out the most critical parts of it about God that I could, because I was angsty, whatever. But I have wrestled so much with God and my Jewish beliefs. But a lot of that was because I knew nothing else but Judaism, and I didn't realize how much of a big part that played in my life. When I joined Student to Student in JCRC, and I went to other places where when I asked if they had met a Jew, nobody raised their hand. I realized, wow, I am Jewish and I need to represent this. And they don't know about this They have completely other experiences in life, and this is my life, and I need to stand up for myself. And I need to show everybody that this is what Judaism is about. Because hate stems from fear of the unknown and ignorance. And the more we can share about our experiences and who we are, the less anti-Semitism there will be out there.
We hope you have truly understand the importance of hearing the impacts of student to student. And now that we are back in person, we have currently done 38 presentations this semester, with lots more on the way. And we love to see you guys all come out and come see our presentations. Our director is Lauren Abraham, so wonderful, and is happy to connect with you if you ever want to come see our presentations for the future.
Now we hope you'll join us in the lighting of the Hanukkah candles. Hanukkah is a holiday about light and oil, and it is time to shine our light on anti-Semitism in the community and help making the world a better place.
Dear God, creator of the world, thank you for giving us rules that make our life special and teaching us to light these Hanukkah candles.
Dear God, creator of the world, thank you for performing miracles for our ancestors long ago and now.
Thank you all.
Thank you all so much. That was so wonderful, and we appreciate you taking time away from school to share your experiences with us and to teach us a little bit about Hanukkah. Hello, everyone. Happy Hanukkah. My name is Deborah Price, and I am the current board chair for the Jewish Community Relations Council. It is my absolute honor today to introduce our next speaker, the Reverend Roderick Burton of the New Northside Missionary Baptist Church. Reverend Burton received a Master's of Educational Ministry from Covenant Theological Seminary and is a member of the St. Louis Metropolitan Clergy Coalition, the Ecumenical Leadership Council, the Jennings Clergy Coalition, the Baptist Ministers Union of St. Louis and vicinity, Pastoral Fellowship of St. Louis, and is currently the Vice Chair of Interfaith Partnership of Greater St. Louis's Cabinet. In addition, he and his family have a long history of solidarity and friendship with the St. Louis Jewish community. Reverend Burton, thank you so much for being here today.
Happy Hanukkah, everyone, and thank you for that introduction. As you hear, I'm an underachiever. Just wanted to, again, appreciate the opportunity to share on this occasion. I just want to present a term to you all to think about. Vigilance is a term that's thrown around a lot. The term usually gets assigned to the reactionary, preppers or hawks. But in its proper context, vigilance is a useful, credible, and essential term and posture for survival in America. Just when people were claiming that we had entered into a post-racial era, there was a reaction, there was a reemergence of racism and anti-Semitism during President Obama's tenure. And it surged and rallied during the previous president's tenure. As great as a tool as social media is, algorithms have grown new forms of visual tropes, memes, and assorted disparaging xenophobic assessments emerging during this pandemic, weaponizing this new medium and expanding the reach of racist and anti-Semitic voices, amplifying its toxicity. These vile conspiracies are the undead, they're zombies. These anti-Semitic viruses have not been eradicated from the human community. And this pandemic has provided opportunity for mutations of the old tropes to blame and disparage the Jewish diaspora. Vigilance means that we quickly call out anti-Semitism in words and in deeds. We need to watch out for potential plots such as the bomb plot that targeted the Central Reform Congregation. And at times we may need to confront people head to head, as I had to just a couple weeks ago. Many of you may not be aware that there is a sect in the African American community who calls themselves Hebrew Israelites, who believes in order to address the identity issues that African Americans have for centuries of racism and being beaten down, targeted, by diminishing the identity of the Jewish community and providing hateful theology. So I had to go around with these guys, but that's what's necessary, because we cannot allow for such, we can't allow others to be pushed down so that we can be pushed up in any circumstance. Yeah. In recent years, especially during Ferguson and the George Floyd protests, new allies have been joining Black voices in fighting for social justice. And we're grateful for these new allies. But the problem is some of these new allies are introducing subtle anti-Semitism, and they're seeking to divide us over issues from our longtime allies. Many young African Americans do not know the history of the allyship of the Jewish community. Throughout the 20th century, many of our largest institutions, the NAACP, the Urban League, certainly throughout the Civil Rights era, the Jewish community has been by our sides and has paid in blood to uplift civil rights. Many young people don't know that history. The Jewish community has demonstrated, as the scripture says, in order to have friends, you must show yourself friendly. We must be very careful, must be intentional to be sure to educate our community, because absent the knowledge of that history, many of our younger generations are falling under the influence of these new friends who seek to malign and divide with anti-Semitic talk and behavior. As the illustrious bard from Compton, Ice Cube, once stated, sometimes you gotta check yourself. So, we must be vigilant of any new forms of anti-Semitism, wherever it's found, and whomever is bringing it. So as today, the African American clergy, we stand together with you vigilantly. So last June, I was pleased to stand with members of the faith community to shine a light on anti-Semitism, and I'd like to share with you this brief video.
As a Christian of German descent, I'm compelled to stand up against the horrific rise of anti-Semitic violence here in our community, in our country, and around the world. And I'm standing up to say, never again.
Anti-Semitism of all sorts, it has no place in our community and in America.
We condemn the anti-Semitic attacks and incidents that have been happening around the country.
As a member of the Sikh community, we have felt the pain, the hurt, when we have been subjected to violence and hate crimes. I want to reassure the Jewish community that we stand with them.
We stand with our Jewish brothers and sisters against anti-Semitism.
I and the humanist community stand with the Jewish community against anti-Semitism.
We stand with the Jewish community in their time of anti-Semitism.
We must all stand together and end anti-Semitism.
We stand with our Jewish community here in St. Louis and across the nation.
The suffering of any one person is the suffering of all.
I understand that an attack on anyone is an attack on all of us.
We Christians, Muslims, and Jews, we must love one another. Love one another.
But we are for peace, tranquility, and justice for all.
Together we can make our world a better place
where people will learn about each other and learn to love and understand each other.
No one should live in fear because of who they are.
The work we do in our organizations here matters, and I hope soon it won't be necessary.
We are grateful for those leaders of our community who have taken a strong stance.
As a member of the Jewish community, I'm asking you all to stay strong and stand strong.
When so many people join together to stand with us, to tell us they have our back, that's meaningful.
I'd like to thank all the community leaders and clergy who continue to speak out forcefully against anti-Semitism.
And we wish peace, shalom, to this community and to all our brothers and sisters. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
My name is Maharat Rori Picker Neiss, and as a leader in the Jewish community, I'm so grateful to all of our interfaith and political partners who have unconditionally and unequivocally condemned anti-Semitism against the Jewish community. We're stronger together.
Reverend Burton, thank you again for being here today, for your inspiring remarks, for your partnership, and for your friendship.
We want to recognize and thank all the elected officials that have joined us today here and their staff in shining a light on anti-Semitism and being a part of what I think is a really important event today. So we want to thank State Senators Jill Shoup and Brian Williams. Not that you all may know this, but Senator Williams was supposed to be leaving today's event to head to Israel on a trade mission. Unfortunately, due to the latest variant, the Omicron variant, and travel-related issues, unfortunately that trip will have to be postponed. However, Senator Williams, we can't thank you enough for your continued support of Israel and making the effort and time to try to go. You will go. It's very important, and we just can't thank you enough. Also with us today are State Representatives Joe Adams, LaDonna Applebaum, Shanette Dogan, Trish Gunby, Tracy McCreary, Adam Schwadron, and Bridget Walsh. And we also want to welcome representatives from the offices of Congresswoman Ann Wagner and Senator Josh Hall.
We'd now like to invite all of you to stay with us just a little bit longer and enjoy some Hanukkah treats. And on your way out, please take a folder that will include information on how you can stand up against anti-Semitism. As Reverend Burton said, we need allies to help us shine a light on anti-Semitism. And we ask you today to become one of those allies. Thank you again for being with us, and we hope you all have a wonderful holiday season.